It's time for the postseason here in women's soccer, and the top 4 seeds get to host. That means Wisconsin gets to do exactly that. So we welcome in one of the Badger stars, Victoria Pickett, a midfielder. And Victoria, how are you and this team kind of approaching the postseason?
We're just focusing on the next task at hand. Obviously not the result that we wanted against Ohio State, but we placed well so far. And just focusing on the game plans that are to come up, and just trusting the process and trusting Paula and Tim and Marissa and John, and just doing that.
Well, for the rest of the interview, we're going to put soccer aside. This is our breast health awareness show, and I know you have a personal story with your mom, Vonda, who's now in remission, but she had to battle, I believe, stage 4 breast cancer. Can you take us back to that moment when she first told you?
Yeah. I'd come back from Spain. I was with the Ontario team at the time, and I came back, and it was interesting because all of a sudden she was very skinny. I was kind of confused as to what made her look the way she was, and I was like, "You okay?" And she said, "Yeah, you know what, I'm gonna have to tell you and your sister something." So she brought us into her room, and that's where she told us that she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer.
And what did you notice about your mom during this whole fight?
Honestly, it's funny because throughout the entire process, she's been so positive. I've never heard her complain once. She's just a very strong individual, so I couldn't really see any personality differences, but more so physical differences. Face was a little skinnier, body in general was just a little skinnier, but she was still herself, still my mom, so.
I know, I want to give you a chance. You've talked about even on Twitter that you're trying to raise money on a GoFundMe account through the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. Explain what the money goes to and why that's so important.
Yeah, so we're just raising money for a cap, which basically prevents hair loss for anyone that's going through chemotherapy. My mom actually had one, and she really appreciated it just because it did help slow down the process of losing her hair, or she was able to keep most of her hair, which was nice. There are a lot of people that are going through this journey that maybe don't have the funds to purchase a cap like that. So it's nice that Wisconsin as a whole is coming together to bring awareness to breast cancer as a whole, and just being able to give back to the community.
Yeah, it's a wonderful cause, and I know you can go online to the Wisconsin Athletic homepage and get more information about that if you're interested in donating. Finally, Victoria, if there is something that you know about this process and watching a loved one go through this process, what would be your best advice to someone who is just starting out in this process?
I would have to say always keeping a positive mindset. Obviously easier said than done, but just being able to look on to the next thing and just constantly looking forward and knowing that there is, you know, a light at the end of the tunnel is always good. Always keeping a positive mindset is always good.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the show, and thank you for being willing to share your personal side of the story, Victoria.
Of course. Thank you for having me.